All right, let's have a look at this position called crucifix. The way that we think of crucifix is a modified version of back control. So normally most people would be very familiar with the back control where we have our hooks in and our seatbelt grip. So basically we're right behind our partner's back. The way that we think of crucifix is we're doing exactly the same thing. We've got our chest on his back, we've got the back control, but we are 90 degrees to him. So instead of being this way, we've just turned ourselves in this direction. So there's no need to think of crucifix as this big complicated thing. It's just a 90-degree turn on a normal back control. When you think of it like that, that'll also give you a pathway into learning how to get crucifix from back control and how to move to back control from crucifix when you just understand that adjustment. But let's have a look at the basic way. Well, it's not necessarily the most basic way. It's certainly the first way I ever learned to do crucifix. But it can be set up from so many different angles. A counter to a single leg when your partner's got his head on the outside is very common. You can do it as you're passing your opponent's guard, as he's passing your guard, so there's a lot of different angles. First way I ever learned though was from attacking the turtle. So my partner's down here, David's in the turtle position. We're on our side. Usually our left knee up here, our near knee is pried in between his arm and his knee to create a bit of space. And we just flare our knee out to the front a bit just to create a bit of space in between his hands. So we flare our base out there. Our rear leg then stomps inside his arms, and I use that to drag his hand back. So you can see how you could also get that if we turn around to the front and my partner was attacking my leg in a single leg with his head on the outside, how it would be a really easy transition to crucifix. One of the main reasons in BJJ that we do not hit a single leg with a head on the outside. So we've established this. Now, there's two different ways that we can control his arm. The basic way we've got it here is David's arm facing forward. That would allow us to do a certain number of attacks, or we could stretch our leg back, swap it to the other side, so his hand's facing downstream, kind of like a Kimura position, and that would give us different opportunities for different attacks. When it's downstream, it's slightly better for us in that it makes his escape a little bit more difficult. Now, the way I first learnt this was, just move this way a little bit, was from here, I do a shoulder roll over him, looking at the front, so I don't hurt my head, driving off my right leg, a little shoulder roll over there, and now we establish the seatbelt grip to have the crucifix position. So that's the first way. The way that I've found that I use it a little bit more frequently is actually a little bit easier. Take my feet to the front and then just use my foot and just pull back this way. So we end up in the same position, but we don't have to jump or roll. Stomp the foot, drag it back, feet to the front, pull him back, and we have his back. Now if we scoot around this way a little bit, we've got our seatbelt grip, we've got his arm trapped in here, we triangle our legs, but holding a seatbelt grip. So in that respect, it's like a normal back control. Our focus is to keep our chest glued to his back. So the seatbelt grip's a great way to do that, and our head nice and close. Our first attack from here is going to be the simplest thing. We open up his collar with the hand that's under his arm, pass it into our right hand as deeply as we can. Now you'll get a deeper grip if we momentarily turn on our left side. So we turn on our left side, open up the collar, pass it in, turn back to our back. The hand that's under his arm now goes behind our head, and we pull our right elbow directly to the floor. Straight down. Okay, so we don't stay on our side when we're pulling back into the air. We only turn on our side to get a really deep grip, back to our back, hand behind our head, and then we're pulling straight to the mat for the most basic crucifix choke. Turn around. On our side, open up the collar. Sometimes your partner will open that collar for you if you get a bad grip and just pull it and he defends it, let him open it up, get a deeper grip, all the way around until your fist hits your chin. That's a really deep grip. Then rotate our hip back to the ceiling This hand we're going to pull out to attack his arm near the end for the best leverage. Lock it behind our head, and then we just pull our right elbow straight to the mat for the tap. So if we're trying to pull this behind our head here, the leverage is not as good. So when he's defending, like we swing it out this way, attack his arm here, then lock it, and now we're all set up for that crucifix position. So let's take a look at all of that one more time. So we're on the side, we've got a seatbelt grip. Just make sure that when we are in that position, that we don't put our weight too much in the center of his body, because we can get arm rolled over this direction. See if David could collapse there and take me over. So if ever we're going to put this arm in under that armpit, we want to shift our weight from the middle to this shoulder here. Here. So if he does try to do that, we can sprawl, he'll come back up. When he sprawls, when it doesn't work, and then we do the technique, whether it's clock choke or crucifix or whatever. So that's just a point to remember. Be careful about passing that in too much. You don't even need to have that hand in there. Foot comes in, snag his arm. We can change it or not. We'll talk about that in another lesson. If I wanted to change it, we keep our knees on the ground, stretch our right leg back, straightening his arm out. Take that leg behind the other foot and up on the inside, which effectively switched his arm. Jump over the fence, lock the triangle. Now we've got it. Feet to the front, pull hip back, open the collar up, right hand deep, square back up, hand behind the head, and effect the choke. So that's the most basic. There are a lot of attacks from the crucifix position. We can attack the arm with arm bars. We can do neck cranks. There are various kinds of chokes there. We can set up kimuras from there, but we can also use, from the crucifix, transition out of that to normal back control. And all we have to do is change the orientation to be able to do that. So if we think of crucifix as a variant on back control, it might make a lot more sense. Okay? Is it good enough? Yeah. Good enough for Mark.